Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship. We are live on Apex Racing TV and on the iRacing Esports Network to start off Season 3 of this championship. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Adam Hedgecock, Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Adam, it's lovely to be back. We are big fans of this series. We had British GT, we had American GT, then GT1, GT2, and now GT3. And hopefully the series will continue to grow. We've got 40 cars out on circuit today, and it's a good host for this first round of the championship.
It's only been a few weeks since the last season finished, but I've literally been chomping at the bit, just waiting to get back in the booth and start commentating on the racing again in this league. We had so much fun last season. There was some amazing racing, some quite fantastic results when you look back and take everything into consideration. So I'm really hoping for more this season as well, and just can't wait to get going, Sam.
Absolutely, it will be 8 rounds of this season. We're going to have 2 races per round, plus also an endurance round as well. Well, there'll just be 1 race, but double points on offer. We'll take you through everything that's going to go on as the season goes on. We're currently in qualifying, so the drivers have got a 10-minute qualifying session, and they've got 4 laps. It's an individual qualifying. They can set 4 laps in this 10-minute session. They've got to be pretty quick on it. But going into this season, I think we might even be able to bring up the championship points as well from last season, possibly, because in the end it was Tom McMahon who won out. It was a phenomenal championship won from him. It was 9 wins, I believe, and also should have really been 10, considering that he was leading the last round of the championship as well before a hardware failure for him. That's a tough mountain to climb for anyone. However, when you have reverse grids like we do in this series, it does open up the possibility for something bad to happen. I think that's part of what's going to need to happen for McMahon to be taken off his perch this season.
I have to agree with that. Yeah, I think he showed time and time again last season that he was relatively good through the traffic. He always seemed to find his way back to the front. Not necessarily amazingly quickly, but he would generally get himself there. And I know we said at the time, that 9 wins and the points haul he got was a little bit flattering, in as much as that didn't really reflect how the title fight was going. Visokopska pushed him all of the way. And of course we saw James Salter as well up there, and a few others really sticking it to him. But yeah, he did rise to the top. He did take the championship. Interesting to see if he can take the crown again. We've got a few new names here, a few unknowns. It might just be enough to just push him that little bit further and maybe over the edge of what he can actually do.
Yeah, no Visokopska, unfortunately, this season. In fact, I don't think there's any gold races, which is a massive shame. They had 6 drivers in the championship last season. A few of them, admittedly, have joined other teams. It seemed like their numbers were kind of dwindling towards the end of last season, so we have still got quite a few of them around. But no gold racing team finished runner-up. Of course, Everest are once again coming in strong, and plenty of new drivers as well, which will be interesting both the amateur and the pro categories. So far in this session, at least, in fact, I've just seen no one's actually set a time, so that's a little bit redundant. So forget I even mentioned that one. However, in practice, I can look at the practice times, and Jonas Boden was 2nd place in practice. We've got Arthur Godsik up there in 5th, Luke McComb in 2nd, Alex Moore in 7th, also Chris Van der Net as well in 8th position. So plenty of new drivers who could perhaps take the challenge to this man, Tom McMahon, who is taking us on a nice tour of this newly updated Road America circuit. Of course, last build, iRacing released some graphical updates, so a few different curves and a few different trackside scenery as well. It does really look nice after looking quite outdated. It was modeled back, I believe, in 2008. This circuit, one of the first tracks on iRacing. As McMahon just found the final corner, he was the only man in practice to break the 2-minute barrier. We expect the lap times to be a little bit slower in this qualifying session, just because the track temperature is increasing slightly. McMahon is going to be first across the line, and he does go past us, and it is under the 2-minute barrier, and that's a very nice benchmark for him to set for the others.
Wow, that is a sterling lap, isn't it? 59.9. Interesting, Dennis Eipenberg, we missed him for most of last season, but great to see him back. We saw how quick he was in the last round and the first round. Didn't he bookend wins, if I recall, last season? So hopefully he can stick around. Bodin going a 10th quicker now. Look at that. First place, 1 minute 59.847. Daniel Lee popping into third place as well.
I must say that is boding well for the rest of the season.
Hooray! It starts already.
Compilation number 1. There you go. Leave a timestamp on that. That's brilliant. What a start! What a start to the season.
Started to mean to go on, Sam.
If anyone hasn't seen the puns compilation from last season, maybe in the break that we'll have between race 1 and race 2, go watch that one. It's on Apex Racing TV. It might not be on the Esports Network, but go onto Apex Racing TV and watch that puns compilation. It is frighteningly good. Frighteningly good. Matty Chambers in 15th place at the moment. A little bit lower down than Matty Chambers would want. Remember, pretty low I rating is Chambers. I think it's only 2k, but he's much more competitive than that. Has got 1 podium before he got 2nd place at Phillip Island last season. Also, a big change for the Evo SR guys this season with the boards coming in. The drivers don't have to share, or the teams don't have to share a car between them. They can run whatever car they like. But James Salt and Tom McMahon certainly going towards the Ford, moving away from Porsche, even though the Porsche seems to be becoming more and more dominant each day. Loads of drivers are in the Porsche, but Evo SR going for the Ford this season.
Well, it was interesting last season, wasn't it? We saw Mike Horder driving the Ford, and when the car was on form, when you could get a handle on it, it was frighteningly fast. There was a couple of races towards the end of the season where he was literally being chased down by Tom McMahon, wasn't he, for the race to win? So I think it's a solid car if you can get a handle on it, if you can really dial in the setup and get it working well with the track. You've got a real chance with it. We know it's very slippy in a straight line. Just question marks over how good it is in the corner. To be honest, I'm rubbish in all GTE, so I wouldn't know whether it's a good car or a bad car. But it certainly looks quick out there.
Emil Winbo absolutely making the amateur pro stats useless. Winbo is 1.4 KI. 1,400 KI rating. Now I don't want to boast. I don't want to boast. But I am 3.5 thousand I rating, which I don't know. In case viewers don't know, 3.5 KI rating is the best I rating. Any higher than that, and you're showing off. As Adam Hedgehog obviously is, because he's got 3.8 K I rating. So what my point is, there you go. Oh, thanks to Sam Kieran for uploading that 1.4 K I rating. That's insane. I don't think he's that new to the service either. It's Wimbo, but I think he's going to be getting a promotion. He's also driving for the Apex Racing Academy, so a little bit of extra power has been inserted into that car, just to show how much you should go to Apex Racing Academy, apexracing.ac.co.uk. You should go there, because that's what happens to Emil Winbo there, amateur driver up in 4th place.
I've been meaning to renew my subscription. It ran out a couple of days ago. I really need to update it again. If Wimbo 1.4K. I have to be honest, Sam, looking at some of those I ratings, it's actually making me a little bit depressed, because I done a practice session with these guys a couple of seasons ago, and I was nowhere compared to them, and I try not to look at their I ratings. I can see it right there. It makes me very sad.
What I would say, I think the I ratings for these just don't flatter them whatsoever. It is a really close. I think Daniel Lee should be 4K. I mean, from everything that I know, Lee is frighteningly quick. How he isn't over 3K. How he's lower than me. Significantly lower than me, I have no idea. No idea.
Eipenberg as well, 2.9.
Yeah. Oh, this is fascinating. This has been a function for many seasons, many months, like a year, over a year, 2 years. And we just found it out. Anyway, Jonas Bodin, 4.8k for Hell Racer's new team for the championship. He is still ahead. Goes faster, a 59.6. Only him and McMahon under the 2-minute back. Only him and McMahon close to the 2-minute barrier. It's Bowden who's absolutely nailed this qualifying so far. Dean Powell, one of the favourites undoubtedly for the Amateur Championship. He's having an awesome qualifying at the moment for mscienceuk.com. Teammates to Daniel Lee, of course. That team getting much stronger. Still just the pair of them, also running World GT as well. On the iRacing Esports Network, he lines up in 10th. And Adjinsons, who got promoted from amateur driver to a pro driver, he's in 15th place at the moment. A bit of a poor qualifying there for Adjinsons, as also Sebastian Ayagi has dropped down and crashed into the wall. So you can see Mark Heron from the Apex Racing Academy GT4 Championship also on the track. However, he is going to run out of time, and we are going to be able to go to the grid. Excitingly, very excitingly, it's a short pace lap. You don't have to do the full pace lap. Thank you, iRacing, for including this function, which means that we don't have to do the entire 5-kilometer circuit or whatever, however long it is. We can just line up going into Canada Corner, and it saves us a lot of time. So fantastic. Thanks to iRacing. Jonas Bowden then on his debut in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. He starts on pole position. Tom McMahon in second place. Then it's Daniel Lee, Emil Winbay in fourth. Then it's James Crouch, Dennis Eichenberg, Luke McCurran, Bob Humphrey, qualifying there for Humphrey actually, in eighth. Then it's Chris Van der Nesse and Mark Hutchinson in the top 10. Lots of newbies in that top 10. Then it's Dean Powell, James Salt, Hans Powell, Seb Rowe, Arto Godzik, Jensen Adjinsons, Alex Moore, Tobias Olsen, Matthew Chambers, Callum Wright, Tom Stevens, Derek Hollands, Kev Copeland, Joseph Saul, Tom Bingham, Tim Perry, Stephen Leahy, Ryan Jones, Mark Heron, Jay Steffi, Kevin Kittleman, John Tressida, Rob Winter, Tyler Scott, Steve Brown, Hamish Haghayege. I'll get that name eventually, but I think that was a pretty good effort. Mads Gravson, Nick Brown, and Adam Coles. 39 drivers. A few drivers out of them. We have got a 44 car field, and in fact, you can see how late they are. Very unusual. Usually, we can set back in our sun beds, go watch the autumn go by, and be back for the race start. But instead, they're only going to have one corner, Adam, before we get going.
Oh, it's so good to be seeing them line up again, and what a treat we're in for. Personally, any one of those top three could literally walk away with this. I've been racing against Daniel Lee in the World GT, as you called out just a moment ago, and yeah, he's frighteningly quick. He's just getting quicker and quicker, so it's going to be tough for these front two to get any ground for sure.
So cold tyres potentially for the drivers. It's a very short formation lap. We don't see much of the Ford Mustang pace car. It pulls into the pits. The field is under Bowden's control. He hangs on a while till he goes, but now he puts his foot down, and we're away racing for Season 3 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. It's Bowden leading the way, McMahon with a good launch to keep behind Daniel Lee. Great start for Dennis Eichenberg, up a couple of places despite being on the even side, which is something quite surprising. However, Eichenberg then makes contact with Daniel Lee, and he just drops back for a moment. Is he going to lose a place as well to James Crouch? It looks as though he is, and Eichenberg, a little bit of a rookie mistake there for one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. McMahon's straight away trying to attack us. They've got Seb Rowe way off the second, also Tom Stevens as well, who got promoted to a pro driver for this championship. He has also gone to the second. McMahon has got past Bowden though, out in the lead. I think they're alongside. McMahon to the outside. Bowden, they had the correct line all along, and Hell Racers do stay ahead for now. Crouch still ahead of Eichenberg, and also McCowan and Humphrey going alongside each other at the moment. But nice driving on the most part. Can be a problematic start around this circuit, but yeah, nice driving so far.
Most people seem to get away pretty cleanly. Emil Wimbo will be kicking himself, dropped 2 places now with Crouch and Eichenberg up ahead. Eichenberg got a little bit lucky, didn't he? It looked like maybe a little bit of netcode, but I think he did pinch Lee a little bit too much. Both got away with it though, and Lee's just now trying to concentrate on keeping McMahon and Bowden in sight. These two are, although they have swapped positions, they are absolutely gunning it at the front now.
Up 5 places as well as Joseph Saul up into second or third place out of the amateur drivers, albeit Winter I think will almost certainly be getting promoted to a pro after this round. That was a big move from Adriansons. Oh, we got a car in the walls. Well, it's Winbo. It's Winbo. And, well, into the tyre barrier. What a shame for a driver who we think is one of the fastest out on circuit. That fantastic Apex Racing Academy livery. Unfortunately, not looking quite as good. The question is, will he stay out on track or will he have to pit for repairs? Massive shame for the Swedish driver.
He must have heard you say about being bumped to pro, because Winbo has just seen his win go in a heartbeat. What a shame for him.
Lovely. Number 2.
You're welcome.
It's easy. It's easy when the humour's this good. It's easy to make joke compilations. Nesse, Van der Nesse, is ahead of Humphrey. I think he's just made that move. However, Humphrey all over the back of him. Van der Nesse does have a slight draft on the car ahead. Oh, we got an issue with Mark Heron. Started far down, did Heron. I think he made up a lot of places at Heron. Started in 22nd place, so that wasn't bad for the Scots driver at all out there. But he has slipped down, so that turn 2 seemingly quite an issue for the drivers. Starting into get into single file. Anyone who saw the Aussie Mixed and Picks Championship earlier on will know how the racing usually pans out in these cars around this circuit. Just a lot of slipstreaming, not necessarily really easy to overtake it. It's quite possible to defend into turn 1 and turn 3, but the toe effects are very strong. You should see a few trains, I think, as the race goes on. This train is pretty much lasting from Dennis Eifenberg in 5th place all the way back to Matthew Chambers in 17th.
There is an inherent problem with this track. There's a couple of heavy braking zones. We can see one as we come down towards Canada Corner now, just on the anchors. You can kind of throw one up the inside there if you're feeling a little bit aggressive, but there's not many traditional overtaking kind of spots. A lot of it is kind of fast corners still, leading on to fast straight, so it is tough. That said, Kevin Kittleman has made up 9 places so far. I'm picking him out deliberately because I want to see how he progresses from last season. We saw a massive, actually maybe that's doing him a bit of a discredit. He started off well and just got better and better and better over the season, so I'm hoping that he can keep that momentum going, because watching him race was an absolute treat last season.
So many improved drivers last season, and Kittleman was one of them. As you say, doing well for Indy Autosports, going to be one of the strongest teams. Indy Autosports with 3 teams, I think, submitted for this season, each with 3 drivers. So certainly going to be in with a chance. Winbo's off the circuit again. You can spin all you like, mate. You can spin all you like, Emil. You're still getting that pro rating, no matter how you are judging this one, because that qualifying was spectacular. Adam Coles in amongst Tom Stevens at the moment, who was off the circuit earlier on, was Tom Stevens. He's back up into 30th place. Wants to get within the reverse grid places, which I think range between P14 and P20, and that's very close into turn 3. I'll learn who's got which number, frankly. Stevens down the inside of the car number 5 of Rob Winter. Oh, and Winter's round now, spinning, and it's going to take him a while to get that going.
Oh, he got lucky there. He's managed to find his way through a little gap. He's doing a bit of an Austin Powers manoeuvre at the moment. Careful reversing on a track like that. Manages to get it going. Who's that going off wide in the background as well? It seems a real troublesome corner, that, doesn't it? There's a few people been having issues. Nick Brown, the latest. Maybe. Does it take longer to get the tyres up to temperature in these cars now? It's been a long time since I've driven one of these cars. Are they still struggling? We're on lap 3, surely not.
Might just be that corner. I recall probably about 18 months ago. Yeah, 18 months ago when we were broadcasting the Apex Racing League 3.5 Championship, which wasn't actually Apex Racing League, it was just with that name. But we had, I think the top 5 all crashed at that one corner, had 2 separate incidents. What was remarkable to say, I'll have to dig that one up because you've jogged my memory there. Yeah, just that corner can be very tricky for the drivers. Bowden then with a 9th to a second lead did lose a 10.5 on that last lap to McMahon. Certainly a challenger finally to the Evo SR driver this season. Hutchinson still just ahead of Van der Nesse. Look at the queue behind. Salt, Powell again, that's annoying. God's sake, right. All right on the tail end, not sure Atkinson's. This is the closest you'll see a few drivers all season long. Vanguard Simsports new team to the championship. Oh, that's way too deep. The BMW, and somehow he misses everyone. That was Dean Powell. And how that was a massive wreck. Perfect camera angle from Sam Kuma there for us to watch that. And that was very fortunate, very good awareness there of Hutchinson just to open the door on that occasion.
That was crazy. When we see him go flying past the rear bumper, I thought there was going to be, there's issues now.
Aaron Powell, he's collided with Godsick. And was that Copeland as well? Not quite sure. But it seemed like one got into the other. I think Godsick then was pushed into Powell. And Powell, of course, race winner last season at Watkins Glen, came close as well to a race win at Okayama as well. That's the final race of the season. Here it was. Not sure he was in the Ford. Was it Atkinson's?
It could have been. No, Atkinson's in a Porsche. Was it Callum Wright? Maybe. He would have been in and around that area. Yeah, just like they both had the same idea of going left and trying to just cover that real tight line together, and got it a bit wrong. That's very unfortunate, wasn't it, to collect two of them as well. And of course, Wright is he's just gone on his way and not thought anything of it. Just head down. Maybe they didn't realise it was me. Just get to the end of the race and don't say anything.
Of course, the stewards will be investigating incidents after the race. The drivers have to notify the stewards for those incidents. It's just a bit wide in the background. I think it was Kev Copeland may have just lost a position to Dean Powell. He will be back on his way, Dean Powell. I forgot about that one for a moment. Here's a incredibly deep manoeuvre. Also, McCowan and Crouch. Apologies to Luke. He told me how to pronounce his name. I've forgotten, frankly. So McCowan it is for the rest of the season. Can't do anything about it. Auckland Sim Racing up into 5th place now.
To me, that looks like McKeown is how I'm...
McKeown?
Yeah, because Martin Keown has a very similar name without the muck at the start of it. And it kind of, that's what it looks like to me, McKeown. I might be wrong. Sorry if I'm butchering it. Oh, that livery, though, on the BMW of... is that just behind? No, that's Crouch. That is a lovely livery. Oh, we've only been going 9 minutes and I'm already distracted by the paint.
I'm not sure if we got that livery on the stream. Sam Kumo, what? He can whisper in our ear what livery he sees, because I just see a black livery, frankly, for Crouch. What livery have you got?
It's black with some lovely little colourful little like party blower things going on.
We have got the same one. I just didn't see the party blowers initially. I was a bit underwhelmed originally, but no, I appreciate the livery now. It is a good one. It is a good one. 6th place for James Crouch. He's got Bob Humphrey, Mr. Consistent behind him. Salt now up 4 places, up into 8th, as Eipenberg is past Lee. It's a little bit of a surprising move there for Eipenberg to make that one quite as simply as he did. Back comes Lee down the inside. We've already seen one msignsuk.com driver make a mistake so far today. But when trying to go for an overtake, but not on that occasion. I'm sure, Adam, I don't know if you got confused, but we've now got HM Engineering or HM Racing in the AOLTC, and I had a bit of a awkward moment with them when I spoke to them as though they were H2M Engineering the other day. So, a couple of awkward teams now in Apex Racing League.
When I saw the team sign up, I thought, oh, Daniel Lee's coming to race in this as well, because I've had a great battle with him and Powell in World GT. I got all excited thinking, yeah, they're going to come race touring cars. Welcome to my domain. We'll have a right old laugh here, but yeah, it wasn't to be. It confused me as well, Sam. Absolutely it did. Although I have to say, again with deliveries, I'm loving this msigns UK.com livery. It's like someone's got a couple of highlighter pens and just drawn all over the car. It's brilliant.
Go to msignsuk.com. I don't know what they do. It's probably signs, isn't it, in the UK? But who knows in this topsy-turvy world, eh? Could be anything. ah. Okay, we tried to compose ourselves in the country box. Dean Powell is coming back against Alex Moore. He's asking for more. Number 3.
You've got more to give.
Oh, number 4. He'll
He's
be
gained 5
racing
positions.
He'll be racing to the Moors and back. I don't think that's. Oh, that was a bit of a terrible one. Wouldn't want to be the person who said that. Alex Moore is under pressure though from Dean Powell though. Powell on the outside going into turn 1. Has a lot of overspeed. Here he goes, gonna fall off the circuit though, and for the second time in this race, Dean Powell is off the circuit after trying an overtake. First on the inside, this time on the outside, and now here comes Copeland as well. That was a deep move from Copeland. New driver for Evo SR, formerly B Team, of course, who are associated with Evo SR. Promotion this season to the pro category after winning the Amateur Championship last season. Having now lost out, and through it all comes Joseph Saul. He might be top of the amateur drivers soon. Only qualified 5th out of the amateur drivers, I believe. But he's been able to escalate his way through as off the circuit as well was Kev Copeland. Meanwhile, was there the move in the end for Saul? No, there wasn't. Dean Powell soon.
So difficult to brake really late in these cars because they don't have ABS. You have to balance your brake foot really delicately. You want to be as late as you can, but you don't want to be locking up. So it's one of those horrible situations where you want to make a lunge, but you kind of don't want to leave it too late, and we end up seeing what we just saw there, where a few cars go a little bit wide. Oh, who's that round at the carousel? Mark Heron? No, that's not Mark
Steve
Heron. It might be
Brown?
Mark Heron.
I think it's Steve Brown, back marker.
Oh, there we go. That might be why it wasn't pinging up on the screen. Yeah, it's really awkward to brake late in these cars, and you see it quite a few times, don't we, where they all start spreading out like you're stamped on an anthill, which is very entertaining. Tim Perry, new driver for Boosted, only been with the team a very short amount of time, doing a great job in his first. I think this is his TV debut. I think looking great out there. In an unbiased opinion.
Totally unbiased, yep. Interesting that you know that information for Conte has nothing to do with the team as well. Tom Bingham, meanwhile, catching up. The Performance Link car, another new team. We've got 16 teams for this season. Almost every driver is part of a team, which is really good to see. Bingham down the inside. English driver versus English driver. Holding on. However, this is just inviting the others along. Kevin Copeland, he dropped behind these drivers. Also Stephen and Kevin Kittleman. Oh, Bingham's round. Bingham is round at turn 2. And that's outside now of the reverse grid places. Remember, we're going to have a 40-minute race 2 coming up in a little while. It's Crouch and McCowan alongside. And Crouch is ahead. Was that a move for Crouch? I think it's just him defending from McCowan. And now Bob Humphrey is onto these guys, and James Salt as well, rapidly closing in. This could be a tight battle for 5th place by the end of the race.
It can be, yeah, very nip and tuck, isn't it? I think it might just come down to a mistake from one of them to settle this, but they're really going for it. Interestingly, since we last saw Eichenberg getting past Lee, Eichenberg's actually stretched a little bit of a gap, just pulling away from Lee a little bit. Lee just hasn't really been able to stick with him. From what I've seen on the timing, it's been a little bit scruffy from Lee, so I don't know whether he's just struggling to stay with him or whether he's just pushing that little bit too hard to try and force Eichenberg into a mistake. But either way, these guys are not really getting into the gap in front of them at all. McMahon and Bowden, they are long gone.
Yeah, it's a class of 2 at the moment. It's fantastic that Bowden is pushing McMahon to a new level. Safe to say, if Bowden wasn't out here, I don't think McMahon would be setting the pace that he is, but they are really absolutely electrifying. It seems like Bowden maybe has a 10th of a second over McMahon per lap, gaps up to 1.8. However, if the tyres just start to go off a little bit and the track temperature is rising out there as the time of day progresses, he could be in trouble. There you are. So close between the two of them. McMahon losing barely any time, but it's just eking up down to this one of the longest circuits we visit all season. Also, you can see the time difference there. 0.8 of a second lost, Adam, in 8 laps. That's the tyre wear seemingly for you. I didn't expect it to be quite that severe.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hadn't really paid any attention to that until you just said that's pretty crazy, and it's consistent as well, which is odd to see. It is good to see the Hell Racers car out there. Not only new to this series, but they're also new to the ARL Touring Car Championship as well, sporting the same livery. And yeah, it's great to see that they are competitive in both. How they go in traffic, but interesting to see in race 2 how Bowden deals with the reverse grid. We know that a lot of points can be lost or gained in that. So McMahon, seasoned pro with dealing with that. Maybe he doesn't have the race 1 outright pace, but can make the points up in the race 2s this season.
Let's hope that Bowden sticks with the season. Remember, McMahon didn't take a race victory at the last round at Suzuka. Last round at Suzuka, season 2, was the only round last season where he didn't take a race victory. And I believe it was the first time since Nürburgring season 1 that he didn't take a race win in a meeting that he took part in. So it could be potentially 2 in a row here for him, especially if we get a large reverse grid later on. 7.5 seconds there, these two are clear of the rest of the order. Ivanberg hanging on for 3rd place. Remember, double race winner from last season. So won a race as well in season 1 of Apex Racing League GT. Daniel Lee, who got 6 podiums last season. 6 podiums last season, which was the 3rd best of anyone, which was very impressive fun. So he knows how to get on the podium, doesn't he? So currently in 4th place, just sitting behind. They have started opening up the gap back to, well, I say that, they actually lost 7/10 to James Crouch in that last lap, but Crouch still a little bit more to gain. Alex Moore up 5 places so far is Moore. He's in a tight battle with Matty Chambers and Dean Powell, who's come back for more. You wonder where Powell would be. I mean, I think we'd be on the moon for the 17th time, frankly, if Dean Powell didn't make all these mistakes, but he's coming back for more once again.
Despite his mistakes, he's actually pretty quick out there, and he is leading the AM category at the moment. So it's not all bad for him. But yeah, what could have been if he didn't have these incidents on? If this is going to get tight going up into the left-hander at the top of the hill, he opts to play it safe, just drops back just a touch. Looks like he's just going to kind of see how these guys go, whether they're going to start battling too much, too hard. Going to prove me wrong and throw one up the inside, or is he just filling the mirrors? No, pulls it back again. And we can see just behind him, Saul is right there as well, not giving him any rest. So Powell has to be careful here.
That was an odd move, wasn't it, down into the left-hander, so a long way behind. Showed his nose. No overtake. Leeds got back ahead of Ivanberg. We also had Salt past Humphrey, although they are teammates. Ivanberg seemingly has made a mistake and now he's having to go mega defensive against Crouch. That be petering out.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm with you on that one.
Yep. Number 5. McCohen now only half a second behind Crouch as well. 2/10 up to Ipenberg. Just positions car in the middle, so that'll be fine for him. But Salt and Humphrey in the Evo SR cars really are much faster at this point off the race. Salt now up 5 places, up into 7, and he'll be onto them. Lost a little bit too much time, did the guys just outside the top 10 in the early stages, but since then they have been able to come back very strongly. I think Crouch once again is going to be very close to Ipenberg. Also this bounce going on. Godstick, he was a little bit disappointing qualifying, practiced really well. Kittelman as well has just gone off the circuit. He's down into 22nd place now, is Kevin, and Godstick is ahead of Leahy.
Yeah, nice little scrap. This is what we often see, isn't it, down in the midfield, some real big scraps going on. He grabs and they're having a look, going really early, isn't he, just to show that he's going to come down the inside, hurtling down the hill, late on the brakes, as late as you can. try and hook it up to that inside, get back on the power nice and early. A nice move, really nice move there from Mads Grafson. Puts him up into 20th position.
Just try and keep an eye as well on what was going on in 12th. I think Powell's got past Moore. Powell's got past Moore and Chambers. That's miles ahead of them. So miles ahead of them now. Must have, yeah. Because they were ahead, and well, they're quite a bit behind. Saul, though, wasn't able to profit from it. Team Powell back up into 12th place. That will guarantee the reverse grid. He's had good paces, Powell, so he might be strong. When it comes to race 2 as well, remember 14 minutes in length. However, you can see on the track now the difference. I mean, everyone from 12th down to 27th, all on the run to Canada Corner. And then the front runners, front 2 in turn 1. It's not quite the dominance we saw in, well, it's similar, frankly, to the dominance we saw in Formula 1 earlier on today. But of course, the difference there is that everyone's got relatively equal cars out here today, albeit maybe the top guys with a slightly better setup. Here comes Chris van der Nesse around the outside, little bit of contact onto the grass, and he's going to lose out to Hutchinson now, as in the battle with Callum Wright, all debutants here.
Done well just to hold it together, did Nesse there. Just got onto the dirt, really easy to start spinning the car around. Oh, he's looking back already, isn't he? He's not happy with that. He wants to make a move, get this position back. Have a look around the outside as they come down the hill. Is he going to carry the momentum? It's really hard to get a pass, and you can use the curbing on the outside there, but Hutchinson just covers him off.
There was a move between two drivers. As the commentator, I feel like I should tell you who that was, but I'll let you wonder for yourself because I'm not sure who it was. But there was some movement. I saw some movement ahead. Salt's now ahead of McCowan. And also Van der Nesse around the outside. It's going to be a big move through the car. So it's now pretty much fought this entire circuit. And there's barely a width of some A4 paper between the two of them. Still alongside, it's going to be risky into the kink. Don't go for it, guys. It's not going to be smart. However, it's a really good grip. And now the BMW's got a fantastic exit. How Nesse managed to keep the speed around the outside on that occasion, I do not know. Hutchinson with the better line though on the inside into Canada. They're still alongside, they quarter panel one another, and Hutchinson was very fortunate not to go spearing into the wall there. I think just the way that iRacing registered that contact was very fortunate, and it's Van der Nesse who drops back from it.
That was very, very close to being tears for both of them. That would have been a real shame. That was a great battle, wasn't it? To see Keone flashing his lights, trying to get a move down. Oh, getting very, very close there to oh, sorry, that's Humphrey getting really close. It'll take me a couple of races to get back into the swing of things. It's been a while, Sam.
It's very odd getting used to all these drivers. It is really odd because we know some of these drivers so well. We've done 20 plus races commentating on them, and then some of these other, I mean, like James Salt has done British GT, American GT, Season 1, Season 2, and now Season 3. So I've probably commentated on probably about 25 races for James Salt in kind of this format. So it's very weird to have these new drivers as well who I just named at the moment, but we will get to know them as the season goes on, I am sure. Bob Humphrey ahead of McCowan now. Either a start, certainly Salt and Humphrey look really strong. I think Chambers as well will be looking strong because he might be up on the front row for the second race should the reverse grid wheel spin in his direction. Just behind them, Adjinsons and Saul. I think that's Adjinsons passing Saul, and now Saul into the wall. Oh, Joseph Saul, he was doing so well, up a lot of places. The amateur driver, one of the favourites for the amateur championship. And that is a spin that is going to really compromise this meeting. He was within the reverse grid places, and now he's a long way away from it, as Matty Chambers is now in the wall, and he's colliding with Adjinsons. And Chambers may not even make it to the line here because his engine is blown, and one of the favourites for race 2 is now out of the race, and that has really changed those positions. But out in the lead, Jonas Boden is going to take the race picture. We'll have a look at how this incident happened. It's Adjinsons behind Chambers right here. and Chambers running wide and into Atkinson's. No one's fault really, and the others did a really good job as well of avoiding the mess. But Jonas Boden, on his debut for the season, apologies that we missed it, the car number 16 wins out at Road America. He beats Tom McMahon, finishes in second place once again, and that is some gauntlet to put down for the first race of the season. They were very evenly matched. It's Lee who rounds out the podium. It's another podium for Daniel Lee. Good start for his championship. Dennis Eichenberg and James Crouch rounding out the top 10. Dean Powell, top of the amateur drivers, and by a comfortable margin in the end, in 12th place with issues for Win Bowen, Bingham, and Kittleman as well, and Saul. In fact, so many of them, and Matty James will get to the line. It'll mean that he'll be eligible for the reverse grid. However, the reverse grid places don't go as low as him, so he will still score points though. Chambers, which is big for Evo SR Green. Fun race there, Adam. It was tricky to keep keep up to date with everything that was going on. It was so action-packed out on circuit. But race 2, if race 1's like that, race 2 is going to be absolutely epic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Good showing for the new boys as well. Boden taking the win. Crouch standing tall in 5th place. What a result for him. And Powell taking the AM win. That's going to be mega for him. That'll give him a lot of confidence and should stand him well for race 2.
Just waiting for the last couple of drivers to cross the line. We've got Hamish Haghayege. Trying to pronounce that name right. I think I'm getting there. Tyler Scott as well has just crossed the line, but here comes Hamish. He will score points. You need to finish either on the lead lap or 1 lap down to score points in this series. You do get 1 faster pair as well, so it's not really much of an excuse not to finish within the points-paying places. Also, top 40 get points. There's only 39 here today, so everyone should get them, apart from the 4 who didn't. More on them a little bit later on as we go through the finishing results then for this first race of season 3. And it's Jonas Boden who wins out 1.3 seconds clear of Tom McMahon. Daniel Lee was 14 seconds off the lead, but quite far clear of Dennis Eichenberg. That's the type of results that Lee needs. He may not have the pace of Boden and McMahon, but he knows that top 3 places, finishing best of the rest, it could give him a chance at winning this title. Dennis Eichenberg finishes in 4th place, James Crouch in 5th. James saw up 6th place and was really strong in the race as well. We always say it was Salt, not a fantastic qualifier, but very good in the race. Bob Humphrey finished in 7th, there's Luke McCohen. Callum Wright up 11 places, great result for him. Mark Hutchinson in 10th. Then it was Chris Van der Nesse, Dean Powell, top of the amateur drivers for Powell. Then it's Alex Moore, Tim Perry, Kev Copeland, Arthur Godzik, Mats Graven, Jensen Adjunson, Aaron Powell, Stephen Leahy, Tom Stevens, Emil Winbo, Tobias Olsen, Tom Bingham, Derek Holland, Joseph Saul, John Tressida, Ryan Jones, Kevin Kitzelman, Matty Chambers, Mark Heron, Nick Brown, Rob Winter, Tyler Scott, Hamish Haghayege, and he was the last driver who scores points. The retirees were Seb Rowe, Steve Brown, Jay Steppy, and Adam Coles. So 4 retirees. It did all take the start though, at least. So that's something. We should be able to get the reverse grid wheel up because we've got a 40-minute race coming up in just a minute. So don't tune away. You can watch some nice iRacing adverts which you haven't seen 100 times already. So do keep on tuned. And Sam Kumo, we should have the reverse grid wheel ready.
Yes, the wheel is ready, and I mean we did get teased about some highlights, but instead we will get some adverts. But first let's spin the wheel. Assuming I actually hit the correct button. There. So it will be 17.
17. Mads Grabson. He was up 20 places. And not 1 less. Because with the chaos that we saw in that last set, that's really changed the situation. Mads Grabson then, the Danish driver, could be a good day for Scandinavia. Because he is on pole position for Fuga Simsport. If that's going to be a Fuga Simsports 1-2 in their first ever race. Him and Arthur Godzik. Fuga Simsport Red. be on the front row of the grid. Kev Copeland, Tim Perry, Alex Moore and Dean Powell lining up behind them. Jonas Bowden will start in 17th place. Let's see if he will be able to make his way up through the order and take a double race victory. We'll be back with you in the Apex Racing League GT Championship in approximately 10 minutes. We'll see you then. Welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship, live on Apex Racing TV and live on the iRacing Esports Network. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again alongside me is Adam Hedgecock, Sam Kumo on the cameras. We're back at Road America for this opening meeting of this Season 3 of the Championship. Adam, in race 1, it was Jonas Bowden who managed to beat Tom McMahon. Those two were a long way clear. Got a 17-car reverse grid. It's the obvious question, how do you rate their chances making their way back up to the top 2?
Well, in McMahon, we kind of know that he's good at doing that. That's a given. He's going to just carry on as he did before, take his time to a certain extent, and just make sure the passes are safe and clean. Bowden is an unknown with this. I've never seen him race before. I don't know how he is through the proverbial slower traffic. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. If he does get through it quickly, how much does that spur McMahon on? And will that cause any issues between them? Will there be accidents because of it? So it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays out, because for the first time in a while, there's a lot of unknowns thrown in, and that's brilliant.
The Figa Simsport red front row, Gravson and Godsick alongside one another. And it's Copeland, Perry, Moore, Powell, Van der Nesse, Hutchinson, Wright and McCowan in the top 10. The rest of the order will go through for you now, because we've now got this very short pace up, too short a pace up. I don't know why the Mustang pulls up here. It should really be a couple of corners earlier. So we'll just see the grid go through for you. But where you need to watch out for, it's going to be McMahon down in 16th place and Bowden down in 17th. Can they make their way back up to the front? We have seen doubles in the championship before. Are we going to see it happen today as well? It's Godsick from the pole position. The couple of Browns in the pits. They're going to be starting from the pit lane today. It's Gravson, though, against Godsick. How can the teammates work together? And we are away racing for 40 minutes of action at Road America. The second race of the season is underway. Look at the gap that Gravson's already got. That's a much more predictive start than we usually see. Third place getting a better launch because Copeland is up in second place. Also Moore and Van der Nesse from the odd side of the grid getting a better start. And so Copeland, the defending amateur champion, in the lead. However, got car in the wall, and that could be big issues. James Salt was the car in the wall, and surely that's going to cause more issues for the drivers behind. And we might even need to see a safety car, but we are going to stay green for now. There's plenty of cars off the circuit, and in fact there's a couple more off the circuit as well. It's a very messy start after a fantastic race 1 start, and that is going to involve a few of the front runners as well. McMahon and Bowden both involved in that.
They were the first names I looked out for. As soon as I saw that kicking off, I was straight to the time page to see if they were involved. They were indeed. In fact, we did flick past Bowden at one point. That has put pay to their charge for sure. I'd be surprised if they can get back up to the front, even with a 40-minute race. But it's funny enough, you said, I wonder how the teammates are going to deal with the start. It looked like Gravson just caught Godsick absolutely asleep, didn't he? Had a massive lead going into turn 1. It was quite surprising. Copeland managing to get his nose up into second place. So interesting to see how he can go from there. Moore and Nesse having good starts. Perry losing a couple down into 8th. And Hutchinson and Powell rounding out your top 10.
7 of the front 8 in their first meeting in this championship. Kev Copeland, the exception of that, in second place. Apologies that Winter and Roy are showing up at the top of your screens, but they will soon whittle down. Adjinsons and Powell. Aaron Powell has had an issue. He would be one to back in a situation like this, but he did start quite far down. So we start the second lap then, and this is a properly unpredictable race from here on in. It's Gravson leading the way, and look at Godsick. He's coming back at Copeland around the outside of the Evo SR machine. However, he stays ahead. You'd expect it to be Godsick who is showing his best Gandalf impression by showing that you shall not pass. And wide goes Copeland, and that was easy. It was easy for the Polish driver who's up into second place, and now he can either go about his own way or he can try to help out his teammate Grafson, who is pulling away in the lead. Van der Nesse, I think, just got past Moore as well. However, he's going to struggle to do a whole lot with it. Into turn 3, might even try to make up another place on this occasion. Copeland just being shuffled down at the moment. Usually good race car for Kev Copeland. Not at the moment for him, as there's a little bit of contact between the two of them. The BMW moves ahead, and Copeland down into 4th, and I think he might even fall a little bit further.
I think what we're seeing right now is Copeland just feeling out the new names. We know a little bit of contact there, but manages to survive. Oh, there's a bit of iRacing contact, we should call it there. That was unfortunate. Both carry on, though. But yeah, I think Copeland is just feeling out the new names. There's a lot of familiar names who know how each other race. They know how hard they can race each other, where they can push each other. But with a lot of new names, you just have to be a little bit more careful. Take your time a little bit. I think that's what we're seeing Copeland doing at the moment.
So close. We saw a similar situation to this in race 1. This is for some of the top positions at the moment. Copeland's going to get done here by Alex Moore. Oh, and there's an off in the background. It's 3 of them. Those bowling pins. Eipenberg, he had a chance of taking the lead of the championship. He is round in that. Humphrey as well. A couple of the big names. I think that was Dean Powell as well. Dean Powell. He may have been leading the championship after this round. So many of the front runners from race 1 involved in incidents. Safe to say no one's going to be scoring big points from today. And I think a lot of the top drivers in the championship are going to be looking for this one to be their drop round for the season. Moore is under pressure again from Copeland. Round the outside goes Copeland. Big slide as well for the Ford just behind them. Copeland's going to be on the outside once again. They've got Wright and Hutchinson right on their tail. And those two are battling, of course, in race 1. Here comes Copeland. And he's got a bet to exit. He's not going to be able to make the move stick. As we so often see with the circuit, it's just too narrow, even around this widest part of the track. It's too narrow for someone to go through wide. So even if you do get a good slipstream behind, there's not a whole lot you can do on the braking area into turn 3. That's deep for the Ford, though, he's hung onto it. Copeland round the outside. Can he hold on to 4th position? They're still alongside, and they're holding each other up so much. They're 8 seconds off the lead already, are these guys. And now it is Moore who moves up. Copeland's going to lose another place here to Wright, but Wright can't quite make it stick. And Callum stays behind for the time being. That is brilliant racing right now.
What a brilliant little section of track that was, with these cars just buzzing around each other, all trying to get one over on each other. One name to keep in mind at this early stage. At the back of this pack, we have Daniel Lee, podium in race 1. He's just sitting there at the back of this, just watching it all. He's keen to get on with it because with all the other front runners having issues, he could be your leader coming away from this meeting. So interesting to see how he gets on. We're only 5 minutes in, and the amount of action we've had already is absolutely phenomenal.
You're absolutely right, and this is, if Lee's going to win this championship, this is the type of round, isn't it, where he's got to finish in the top 5, where he's got to make his maybe his fortune, but he's got to make his advantage pay. Cannot afford an incident. At the same time, of course, he's got to be aggressive, so it's difficult to say. I wouldn't want to be him in this situation, but there's a lot of pressure on him because, as you say, he could be leading the championship after the first meeting of the season. Hutchinson, look at the slipstream of these guys increasing to a massive speed on the brakes, and right ahead of Copeland. So many near quarter panels today. I don't know how we haven't seen more incidents. And of course, if you go up at that corner, as we saw in race 1, you then bounce back onto circuit. And with the close proximity of the cars, we're constantly risking a big wreck at every time these guys are close. You can see it on the track map. Everyone down to 21st place, all in a train at the moment. Hutchinson trying to do something with this good run. He's got to be careful, though, of Wright on the brakes. Copeland coming back that outside line into turn 3. Hasn't worked in this race so far for him, and it hasn't worked again. However, he has stayed ahead of Hutchinson, who doesn't go for the move into turn 4, and he stays behind. But right now they're just losing each other a lot of time, and this train is going to be extending all the while.
I'm so glad I'm not wearing my heart rate monitor watch at the moment, because it'll be beeping at me like crazy. This is phenomenal. I'm getting anxiety watching Copeland and Hutchinson have their little fight there. Copeland and Wright, with Hutchinson just behind, getting so close. It's win it or bin it mentality, it seems, to some extent. They are not giving each other that much room. As we look back at Daniel Lee, that lovely livery, it's so striking. It stands out from the crowd for sure. I wonder how long he's just going to sit there. I'm sure he'll want to make his way up.
Here he goes.
The cars.
Sorry to interrupt. It was just going on Perry right there. Falls and Chambers, by the way, going back to the pit. Shame for them. Awful day for Matty Chambers after, I think, having a very quick car underneath him. Everest are looking like the fastest team today, but they are not being able to consolidate it. So Lee's up into 11th place, then past Kerry. And Copeland just continues dropping down. Copeland's a quick driver. Copeland was quick in race 1. Guess he's been put off the line too many times, and yeah, shame for Matty Jones. Hopefully, him and Coles will be able to get back out on circuit and just recover a couple of points for one.
This reminds me very much of the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship, where if you're put offline by one car, you have the whole freight train coming through. And I kind of feel that's where Copeland is at the moment. He's just trying to stem this tide of cars that are finding their way past him. So difficult out there. All of the new guys wanting to prove that they are worthy to be running in the top 10. With the old familiar faces just trying to put them in their place and let them know that this is their league. I see Crouch with the front end of his car is completely missing. That can't be good for your era.
It's even more black now. It's that car. It was possible before. Spin in the background for Joseph Saul. Could be all right for Saul today. I mean, he's made a few mistakes as Joseph, and he could have probably got a couple of top 10s. Maybe not a couple of top 10s, but a couple of, well, a top 15, I think, in race 1. Maybe a top 10 in this race, but hasn't quite done it. However, he will still be looking good in the Amateur Championship. Bingham now the top of the amateur drivers with Dean Powell right there as well. Alex Moore with Callum Wright. They've got Hutchinson behind. These drivers 9.5 seconds off the lead. So it's going to be a three-way battle for the race between three debutants. In fact, the top 6 are all in their first meeting in this championship. I'm glad that I put so many of them as pro drivers, because a lot of them don't have particularly good I ratings, but are really overperforming. There's Hutchinson trying to chase them down, and Lee still behind McCohen as well, waiting to make a whole lot of progress.
Wonder if Callum here is just feeling like he's a little bit bottled up, just waiting for the right time to pass, get a move done, and then start chasing down the guys in front. You see him pulling out really early on the defence. Is more there, just trying to hold him back, but Wright seems to have the momentum. See Hutchinson in the background trying to get a little bit of the toe as well. Round the outside in turn 1. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. That looked quite easy. I think Moore gave him a little bit more room than perhaps he wanted to, but that release is right now, when Moore's having a little look back. And Lee's trying to go around the outside of McKeown here. Wow, it's just action non-stop.
As they got this move finally done, he's been patient as Daniel Lee. He is usually a patient driver, but there has been a couple of examples in the past where he's just had a couple of rash moves. But that one should be done. The inside line into 3 is usually very advantageous. He still hasn't got it done, but he's getting his car further and further clear of his rivals, and he is now ahead. Tom Bingham off the circuit. Bingham was top of the amateur drivers, and Dean Powell to the top 2 in the amateur category have come together. And well, Dean Powell almost made a collision at this corner earlier on, and he's done it again. He just mistimed his braking, and if he was lucky that the first time, he got what he deserved that second time.
He just needs to calm down just a touch, doesn't he? It looks like he's trying so hard to get these positions. And he's just going over the edge at the moment. Such a shame, because we saw he can be quick, he can be a brilliant racer, but tonight just really isn't his night at all. Such a shame.
Powell now against Winbo. Remember Winbo qualified up in 4th place?
Oh, I remember that guy, yeah.
Yeah, well, there could have been for him. Two Swedish drivers, apologies. In 18th and 19th. I don't think that's offensive. They're a long way away from one. Say, there you go. Krabston, meanwhile, for Team Norway, lots of Scandinavian drivers out here today, and of course, I think there's like, there used to be like 100 Finnish members on iRacing, and I think literally like 12 of them were World Championship drivers. It is insane how good that nation is, and it seems to have spilled over slightly to Norway and Sweden as well. Alex Moore, by the way, back ahead, or defending against Hutchinson. Hutchinson's ahead though, in 5th place. Got Porsche, BMW, Ford, and Ford in the top 5. So Hutchinson, apparently. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. Oh no. Oh, mate, earlier on. Why didn't you correct me, Adam? You let me look like a flag newbie right there.
Because last time I corrected you on something, you got very upset about it and said that I didn't need to point that kind of thing out because the viewers already knew.
I've just realised that Sam Kuma is actually muted, so I could have just ignored Sam Kuma there, and the audience would be none the wiser. But I'll learn that for future rounds. Anyway, the Danish driver of Mads Grabson, in first place. Oh, many Danish F1 drivers. It's Kevin Magnussen, of course. There you go. Oh, well that's not patronising, is it? There you go.
I'm surprised that you didn't pick up on that earlier, Sam, because I was already thinking of some puns for later down the line. I was going to say what a great race for the Great Dane. It's turning out to be that way. But yeah, now he's Norwegian. We'll have to think something else up.
Number 6. Hutchinson's up into 10th place. It's ahead of Pale, Crouch, and Eipenberg. There goes Eipenberg. I think he might have gained 2 places in one there on Tim Perry. Got past Crouch. And we'll see if the Dutch driver can move up into 11th here. At the inside he goes. Should have the pace advantage. Porsche, by most regards, the fastest car out on circuit, but there goes Eipenberg in the 1-3-1. He just, well, I don't think that was necessarily Eipenberg's fault there. Just pushed his rival ever so slightly off the circuit. And bad news there for Perry, down into 15th now.
I think there was just enough room, wasn't it? If you include the curb, there was enough room there for Perry. But again, it's one of those things we said about earlier. New driver to the series, not entirely sure what your competitors are like. So I think Perry went a little bit too cautious and paid the price. Only lost a couple of positions, though, still going, which is good. We see Lee here. Oh no, there's some contact on the exit of turn 3. That's a shame for both of them because they were having a nice little scrap there as well.
It's the quarter panels, isn't it? It's so many close calls today when it comes to quarter panels, and then on that occasion, it did properly happen. That was Stevens getting involved in that incident with Leahy. I think that was Leahy, if anything, just understaying into him. A little bit slow behind for the Fords as well. But further down, that may have been Olsen, I think it was, but Olsen has stayed in 15th place for now. It started to spread out a little bit in the top 10 as the Pro Academy Sim Sport Black cars swap. Remember, they were B team in the past for Saul and Stevens. In fact, Stevens was Evo SR, but they've made their own team now. And Linus Stern, you know that those two are very evenly matched.
I can't remember who it was. We interviewed a driver last season and he said that he was going to go his own way and try and do his own team. I think this is what we're seeing here. I can't remember who that was. Was it? No, I don't think it was. Was it John Gordon?
I don't think we spoke to John Gordon though last season.
Oh, did we not?
We got a message from him, but he never got a podium, of course. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. I know someone said they were going to try their own thing, and we were saying it's a bit of a risk leaving a bigger team like that and going on your own. But I think they're doing well tonight, aren't they? And I'm loving their livery, by the way.
Certainly, Gordon has done that. I do know that he set up. Hopefully, we'll see John Gordon later on the season. In fact, he is in the chat right now. Hopefully he'll send us a couple of messages. But he has got his own kind of driving tutoring, I believe, as John Gordon, and I think with some of his drivers are out on circuit today. Stevens and Saul, well, they swapped positions one time, and now they look to be swapping positions another time. And as someone who's tried that kind of tactic of getting the momentum to the driver behind and then switching it around, it never works. It literally never works. So don't try it, guys. They didn't know quite which way they wanted to go there. Bob Humphrey, I think, has had... no, it's Tim Perry who's had an issue just ahead of them, off circuit. And he's now been put into the clutches of these other drivers, as there goes Stevens around the outside of Olsen, who was held up, I think, by Perry. And Stevens up into 15th.
Has Perry got some damage there? His front right looks to be sticking out quite a long way. It might just be the colour on the wheel arch, but I wonder if he clipped the wall maybe. He's definitely at the top of the hill there. He's gone wide and fallen right back into the cushion. Big bit of rearward action there for Sol. You hear how much he had to lift out of the accelerator. The rear end was trying not to behave and trying to step out of it. He managed to rein it back in. Right on the tail of Olsen and Stevens now. They're getting that little bit closer to Perry as well. Perry's dropped back quite a bit. Such a shame for him. He had a great starting position. Lost 10 positions so far. Only two people have lost more. McMahon, who is now back up into 27th position, but he's still lost 11 in total. And James Salt, who's in 28th and has lost 16.
Salt towed back to the pits. Oh, he did tow. Yeah, he towed back to the pits. I don't think McMahon did. He managed to drag the car around. Daniel Lee is up into 6th place. He's got past Alex Moore. He is 13.5 seconds off the lead, so he hasn't been mega quick. It would have been fascinating to see how Bodan and McMahon would have fitted into all of this. I think it would be close for them to catch up, but it would be a push because we are now halfway through this race. But Lee up into 6th place right now would be comfortably the championship leader, I believe. Not 100% sure on that one. No. Adjinson's battling with Copeland. Copeland recovering after dropping down the order earlier on. Adjinson's on course for a couple of strong results. In fact, Adjinson's missed out on the first grid, I believe, by 1 place. He was unlucky, but then he was lucky to get through the first lap, so ups and downs. But he's up into 9th place now, past Copeland, and then they've got Eichenberg, Crouch, Humphrey and Perry all behind.
I was going to say, there's just no rest for Copeland at the moment. You know, you're right, Adrianson's got past, and who does Copeland have in his mirror now? Eichenberg, who we know is incredibly quick as well. So I kind of feel for Copeland out there. He's pedaling as fast as he can, but at the moment it's like one of those little swan things you get on a lake, but the tide is strongly against you. And it's not a good time for Copeland at the moment. Crouch, by the way, I'm surprised how he's keeping this pace with no nose on the car. That can't be great for the aeros, but somehow he's sticking to the back of Eichenberg, and it's mind blown. I don't understand.
Can be deceiving, the aero damage. Of course, no new damage model for these cars. They're still using the old damage model, but they're using some elements of the new damage, so you can lose pieces. But it's not the proper one. Hopefully that will be introduced for next season. Eichenberg past Copeland. I've seen that plenty of times, haven't we? Drive that down the inside into turn 1. And just with how narrow the circuit is because of the grass on the outside, kind of pushes the other driver off, and it's not really their fault necessarily. It's just it's just very tricky to keep that tight line, and when you're on the outside in that situation, you do kind of just have to give in rather than fighting it. The two leaders, the Fuga Simsport Red drivers, have closed in on one another. Grabson with a 2-minute 3.53 on the last lap. Rodzik with a 2-minute 2.84. He took 7/10 of a second out of his teammate, did Godzik, out of Grabson, and it gets down to 4/10 of a second out in the lead of this race. It's then 1.6 seconds back. Oh, we've got a spinner there. That was Steve Brown, I believe. He's just towed back to the pits, but I'm not 100% sure. But now, Adam, if this was the boosted guys, what would you be doing with them? Because Godzik looks faster right now than Grafson, but at the same time, Grafson has earned this race lead. What do you think?
I'm about to get a lot of stick from my boosted colleagues. If this was boosted out in front, we would say, well, let's just keep it clean, you know, we'll just try and do this as fast as we can, and then we'll inevitably crash into each other. because
I can say.
that's what we do. You're not really a boosted driver if you don't take out one of your teammates. That's how we roll. But they've got the gap, so I don't think it's imperative that they start switching around and trying to manufacture time and pace, whatever. And this is, I mean, it's 1.7 back. There's a bit of a gap, but I think if they start trying to move around now, they'll lose more time than they'll gain. I think.
I maybe agree with you. I think as Moore has got past McComb, McComb's going to drop down. Turn 1 again. So Atkinson's is up into 8th. Remember, Atkinson's finishing 4th in the last race of last season. And also Eichenberg as well. In 9th place, Crouch reaches up to 10th place now. And then Copeland just behind. Was that a joke? I mean, I tried a bit there, but I don't think it makes sense. Crouch reaching up.
Yeah.
I guess it, yeah.
And any posture-related things are kind of, any posture-related ones are kind of good for Crouch, I think, aren't they? Or are they?
I'll get some. I'll be right in this next. That's what I'll be doing for the. See, people don't realise that. That's what I do for seeing races. I'm writing puns for the drivers, and I haven't prepared any for today. But I'll prepare some for next week because there's some given ones here. Godzik has got ahead of Gravson in the lead. Arthur Godzik, he started in 2nd position. It's still a Fuga Sim Sports Red 1-2 at the moment. But it's Godzik leading Gravson, and now Van der Nesse is right on the tail as well. So the top 3 separated by 9/10 of a second at the moment. And this is going to be very close. The Europeans, pretty much they're all the Europeans in this series, as you can see from the top 25. But still, they are still 3 Europeans, and the Polish versus the Danish versus the Dutch driver, and Nesse way faster. Let's see if Grabson they can stay with his teammate in the tow now. The tow should be about 0.4 of a second a lap faster, I imagine, maybe 0.3 of a second a lap faster, but it seemed as though before the overtake, Grabson was using about 0.6 of a second to these guys, so he still needs to put in a lot of effort in order to keep in that 2nd place.
I do wonder if in their haste to get a gap, they might have burnt their tyres up just a touch. We're only just over halfway through this race as well, so I'll be surprised if it's their tyres starting to go. Although we did see in race 1, didn't we, their steady degradation of the tyres and times dropping off. But yeah, they've got trouble now. Nessa right behind them. Grabson, is he going to play the rear gunner role? Is that what they're now saying? Is that you didn't quite have the pace to do this to get this win, so now you got to protect Godzik out in front, who is creating just a little bit of a gap. So interesting to see. Eichenberg has just got past Adrianson's, by the way. Just seen that flash up as well. So Eichenberg up to 7th, and McKeown and Moore have just swapped places too.
That will probably be as high as Eichenberg can get. Oh, McCowan, and into Bob Humphrey. Oh, that could be a big one for Humphrey. He is one of the favourites for the championship. Last season finished 3rd in the championship, I believe, and scored the 2nd most points of anyone in race 2s. He was extremely good in race 2s last season. Was Humphrey. I will actually just have to check that one. Not 100% sure. There was the incident Moore and McCowan getting together, and then that was the incident as well with Humphrey.
I have to say, brutally honestly, Bob Humphrey seemed to be going through there at a rate and not still, despite an accident happening. Like, we didn't see an onboard, it's just my first impressions of what we've seen there. Oh, and who's that in the background? Olsen having issues. Who's that with him? That's Soul with him as well? Yeah, Joseph Soul. Oh, it just goes bad to worse for Soul, doesn't it, this evening? Oh, no.
It's stuck in the tyres, I think. And he's towed back.
Oh no.
Oh, as here comes Nesse. Van der Nesse down the inside. Grafson left the door open when he really should have been cutting it off. He cuts off that time though, telling Van der Nesse, you're not coming through here. And he stays in second place, although, God's sake, just opening up the gap a little bit, up to 9/10 of a second now. Or 7/10 of a second, apologies. Oh, and into the wall is, oh, that's Winter. Okay, it's back marker. Thought that was fourth place, but Winter into the wall. That's one less back marker for Wright to worry about. Adrianson's back ahead of Crouch. They're in a epic battle at the moment. Need multiple cameras, I think, for to keep up with all the action today. And Danette just dropping back slightly. Is Grafson within slipstream range? Is he catching up on the run to Canada corner? He is a little bit, 8/10 of a second, 0.79, 0.78, so really not much of a fight. He needs to get back within 6/10 in order to really start to get back in touch with his teammate. The good news though, this for Godsick at the moment.
Yeah, it just seems to be cruising a little bit out in front, doesn't he? Just not having to worry about his mirror, just putting in his lap times. Grafson all over the place, really just trying to defend, trying to get his line. Nesse is going to have a big old run down the main straight here and get a double toe as well. We know how quick the BMW can be. Is he going to be brave and try and throw one up into turn one? He is. He pulls out, just faking it, ducks back in behind, just seeing what Grafson does with it. They've got a nice gap behind them, so there's not much of a rush. We've got 10 minutes remaining in this race. He doesn't have to get it done now, although I'm sure he'll want to get on with it and get after Godsick as soon as he can.
Back down to 7/10, so Grafson has improved since he made the pit stop. Sorry, apologies, since he got overtaken. But here comes the BMW. Van der Nesse much better on the brakes. Grafson can't let that one go that easily. The BMW's got a better run. However, I think the Porsche will still try to go back down the inside into 4. Is there any understeer for him? The BMW slightly wide and he loses control, and that was nearly a couple of them wiped out. They're still alongside through 5 now. But now, Grafson has got the advantage. He leaves himself vulnerable, and now he drives it in deep. For the next corner, he's almost off the circuit. They're alongside once again. That's Scott spinning round the back marker. Round the outside goes the BMW. They're always making contact. Barely a gap between the two of them. Is there going to be a quarter panel? He's staying alongside. He's got to leave room there, has Grafson. And here comes Van der Nesse. They're dead level. Round the outside. Is he going to be off the circuit? He is off the circuit, and he spins round into the middle of the track. And now he's got to be very cautious, rejoining. Wright moves up into 3rd place. And that is brilliant news for Fuga Sim Sports Red, who are well on course for a 1-2 on their debut. Van der Nesse went for the move, but despite it working earlier on, I'm not sure if it was Van der Nesse who it worked for earlier on Van der King, it hasn't worked this time.
That was such a shame. That was brilliant racing. Grafson has dropped 3 seconds back. I'm not entirely sure how or why.
I think that was just the bats thing, honestly.
Could be. We see just a wheel on the outside. We've all done it. We've all been there. You hate to see it. Done the right thing, just edged out just a little bit, fully aware of how far across he was on the track, and managed to get going again. Such a shame. It was his to win, and he lost it all. Incidentally, while we was watching that, Crouch, not taking this one laying down, did get back ahead of Adrianson's.
And now they're battling again. Constantly, haven't they? I don't know who's got more damage. Adrianson's car is slightly wounded. Oh, Adrianson's off the circuit. And Crouch is going to go back ahead again. Might be a video of these guys just swapping places. I think they've swapped places about 10 times so far today. And they got Copeland, Moore, Harry. So no disrespect to them, but not any kind of top drivers behind them. Humphrey is closing in as well in 13th place. He's just got ahead of Stevens. And Adrianson's back ahead again of Crouch. Maybe Crouch is struggling with the straight line speed. Maybe he's just having to get it done in the corners because he was slow down the pit straight and he was slow on that occasion as well. Adrianson needs to start closing a gap between him and his rival. Lee up into 5th place though. Daniel Lee would be championship leader if the race ended as it did. Callum Wright might even be in 2nd place, although Godsick would be looking pretty strong. It must be said. The top positions, potentially not too much of a change. coming up, unless Wright can catch up to grab some. He needs to get back onto pace after that very intense lap or two. Lee, though, catching up to Hutchinson. A third and a fourth would be a spectacular result, would be one of his best beatings of all time. With a third and a fourth. I think last season at Suzuki he got a second and a third, so that's what the ones that he got to be, but be far off that.
He did indeed get a second and a third. Yes, I just flicked back a page in my notebook, and it is right there. Yes. It's good to see with Daniel, isn't it, that the first season that he was here, he was a little bit rash, a little bit over enthusiastic, like a puppy when the owner first comes home from work. You know, a little bit excitable. Made some mistakes because of it. Last season he progressed and kind of got a lot of that out of his system, and tonight he's just quietly gone about his business. He's taken his time, he's made the moves when it's been safer for him to do so. A little bit of luck avoiding all the carnage on the first lap, but yeah, he's got Hutchinson in his sight, and as you say, a third and a fourth on the opening night would be an absolutely stonking night for Daniel Lee.
Saw Kopsik be Mr. Consistent last season. Took 2 wins near the end of the championship, but he finished in the top 10 in every round of the championship. Finished in the top 5, I think, in all but 3 out of 16 rounds, that is. It didn't work out for him. He finished quite far distance of Tom McMahon just because McMahon was so perfect. I remember McMahon last season didn't finish Silverstone Race 2 in the first round of the championship, so it's not an experience he's not used to, Tom McMahon. Compared to that round, actually, this is looking pretty good for him because he's still running in 18th place. He got past Bodan, who seems to be a bit slower in this second race compared to what he was earlier on. McMahon was behind Bodan earlier on in the race. 18th place for Tom McMahon, that's pretty miraculous, considering that he had to carry that car round to the pits on the first lap to get the passing there, round a very long pit lane as this is, and he's almost back to where he started.
Well, to be fair to Bodan as well, you know, the little bit that we saw of the incident, he was going very, very sideways. Looked like he took a fair old whack himself. So, yeah, pace-wise, I'm not surprised that neither of them are back on as quick as they were. I'm sure they're both carrying some issues. Tom Stevens taking a whole lot of curb on the way into the kink. You don't want to be doing that too often. I see Humphrey having a little look behind, just checking him out. Dean Powell behind. Just make sure you get your braking right, Dean. Not any more incidents this evening. Just looking to pick up any pieces. Currently leading. It's interesting, isn't it? After all of the incidents that we've seen, all of the plays kind of play out in front of us, Powell is still up there leading the AMs, which is quite miraculous.
Sure is. M Signs UK as well. We're looking very good in the team's championship out there with Lee and Powell up in the top 20. Humphrey past Stevens. They're not teammates, and that's going to be weird to say, but I imagine they're probably still friends, you'd hope. So I don't think they'll face each other too hard. And Powell will be next up now on Tom Stevens. I think that's only a matter of time till that one happens. These guys in the 2-minute 4s, which is quite a bit off the pace, at least on that last lap. They were battling, of course. They need to make sure that they up the pace a little bit because Winbo and Bingham will be catching them up later on. It's in 14th place. At the moment, Hutchinson and Lee down to 2/10 now in the battle for 4th and 5th. Lee is very close now. He's just peering out. Knows that this is the only place he's going to get. He's not going to catch up to Wright because Wright is only a couple of tenths of a second slower. And so he just needs to get this one move done, and he's got a couple more laps to do it. But around the outside goes Daniel Lee, always sideways, and a little bit onto the gravel. That's the danger that he runs. High stakes right now. He's still got 2 more laps to get past Hutchinson.
He managed to save that pretty well, didn't he? I think the tyres are going to be pretty worn now. He just asked a little bit too much of them. Rear end decided that it wanted to go off on its own adventure, but collected it, and yeah, he's still only 7/10 behind. A little bit of toe down the main straight, and then after turn 2, and yeah, he should be right back on the back of Hutchinson again. Crouch is back ahead of Adrianson's again. By the way, that they have swapped positions once more. And a little bit further down the order, Olsen and Tressida keep trading positions. They're having a little bit of a humdinger down for 26th position.
Apologies for any drivers watching back or any friends and family, fan clubs, groupies who are watching along this. We know that sim racing drivers have a very loyal, passionate fan base. So if we're not showing your driver, I'm sorry, but there are 39 drivers out on circuit, and there has been some very good action elsewhere. But I'm sure as the season goes on, everyone will have their moment of glory. Off the circuit is Adrian's. And even then, I feel like it's only a matter of time to pass this crouch again, even though we've only got a lap and a half to go. We'll try to close back up. Oh, that's Dean Powell. Dean Powell speed move that corner, because it's the third time it's happened. Could get penalty points for these incidents. Tom Stevens drops behind him.
When I saw that, I instantly put my head in my hands. Poor old Dean Powell, he struggled so much at that corner in particular. Was him and Stevens involved in one earlier as well? Was Stevens part of the three that went off wide there? I can't remember. I feel like it was, although it probably wasn't. I would have liked to have seen Powell just ease off a little bit, let him back through again as a nice gesture. Last lap, we're here already. 39 minutes gone. Godzik crosses the line for the penultimate time, and he's got a nice big gap, so he can enjoy this one a little bit, Sam.
Wouldn't know that. It's only his second race in the league. We're really not familiar with Arthur whatsoever. He's not raced in Apex Racing League before, or BSR, or any Apex Racing TV broadcasted series. But he's certainly made his mark. It's 2.9 seconds ahead. Vuga Sim Sports doing an awesome job. They might be leading the team structure. I really don't know how the standings are going to look. Godzik won't be far off that. Because he did start in sixth. He did qualify. Not qualify. Okay, I mentioned he finished 16th in race 1. Quite an upturn, but this is certainly the actual pace that he's got. We might have to go back to Lee and Hutchinson though, because that's a Tuesday. Oh, Lee's off the circuit. He needs to get back going quickly. Van der Nesse is going to be closing in. Oh, and we were saying how you cannot afford to make mistakes when your rivals are having bad days. And Daniel Lee has made a mistake. He's down to 7th place. That's 4 points down the drain for him. Could be worse, but yeah, that's the errors that Lee's going to have to get rid of if he's going to win this championship. And he may not be leading the championship out of this round anymore because of that spin. Certainly does seem to be sorted between all the top 15 drivers. Boden trying to recover positions. Race 1 winner. He's going against his Swedish rival of Emil Wimbo. Started 1st and 4th in race 1, batting for 19th and 20th here, and they do change places. But out in the lead, Artur Godzik, 3 seconds ahead in only his second race in Apex Racing League GT. He's going to take his first win. Artur Godzik takes the race victory at Road America, his first race win in the series, and it's Matt Grabson who makes it a Vuga Simsport Red 1-2 finish. Congratulations to that team. Callum Wright finishes on the podium. It's all debutants in the top 5 places with Hutchinson and Van der Nesse in 4th and 5th. And it's Dennis Eipenberg finishing. So Daniel Lee, with that mistake, comes home in 7th. Dean Powell is once again going to end up top of the amateur drivers. Subject to post-race stewarding, he may get some penalties due to a couple of incidents at turn 3, but at least across the line he does finish top of those drivers in 14th place. Bingham and Winbo, the rest of those drivers. McMahon makes it back up to 15. Good effort there from Tom McMahon, who actually won't be far off the championship lead, I think, even after all of that. So a good drive back up through the order for the Evo SR driver. But what a way to make your mark for Artur Godzik and Matt Grabson, and that was a very responsible drive. We always see it in these series, Daniel, when you have apologies, Daniel, Adam. Oh, Sorry.
We got someone else in the booth. Someone just walked in the door.
It's been a long day. We see it a lot of the time, Adam, in this championship, and in similar championships with reverse quiz, how it can take a while to get used to the format, to get your racing skills kind of to a T. But Godzik and Grabson, absolutely perfect there. That was a very mature drive from the pair.
You're absolutely right, Steve. Yeah, they've just come in. They've gone about their business. Even swapped positions. I still think that might have been a little bit orchestrated, just to get the position safe. But yeah, calm and collected. Bring home the top 2 steps on the podium in your second race. What a great night for them, and right as well. 3rd place in race 2. These second races are always pretty tricky. But yeah, fair play to all of the top 5. To be fair, with poor old Dennis Eipenberg, one of the regulars, only managing 6th position.
Yes, I can't wait to do the points. Not wait to do the points for this round, because no one had a good day. No one in the top 5 in both races. No one in the top 6, I think, for both races. So really, it's going to be very strange, the order. Arthur Godzik, though, wins out 3 seconds clear of Mats Grabson. Callum Wright, we should give a big credit to him as well. The British driver, only 6 seconds behind, was catching up as well to them, but had to make up quite a few places, I believe, in the early stages. Mark Hutchinson finishes in 4th. There's Chris van der Nesse in 5th. Dennis Eipenberg is Dutch compatriot in 6th. Then it was Daniel Lee with that late spin. Should have been in 4th place for Daniel Lee, so a few points lost for him there. James Crouch in 8th. There's Jensen Adriansons, Kev Copeland, Alex Moore, Tim Perry, Bob Humphrey, Dean Powell, top of the amateur drivers, of course, was Powell. Tom McMahon, great recovery to 15th. Tom Stevens, Aaron Powell, and Tom Bingham was in 18th. Jonas Bowden, of course, race 1 winner, got involved in a wreck on lap 1 in race 2. He recovers to 19th, though. Still good points for him, and one of the favourites for the championship, undoubtedly, after today. Emil Winbo was in 20th. Then Stephen Leahy, James Salt, Jay Steffi, Ryan Jones, Luke McCowan, Tobias Olsen, John Tressida, Mark Heron, Derek Holland, Adam Coles, Joseph Saul, Tyler Scott, Kevin Kitzman, Rob Winter. In fact, actually, only the top 30 will score points. Everyone else was more than 1 lap down. Winter was in 34th. Then it was Hamish Haghayege, Steve Brown, Matthew Chambers, Nick Brown, and Seb Rowe. Only did 1 lap to Seb Rowe. Shame to see that. We will get an interview with some of our judges. I wonder if Sam Coogan could actually post the link in the YouTube in the YouTube chat, perhaps. Or
I've done it on the I've done it in the GT Discord.
Aha! Well done. Oh, smart.
Yeah.
I don't expect that from you, Adam. Frankly,
I'm not just a face for radio.
Hey, yes, you can say that again. We will. Oh, actually, who are we going to have a chat with? But well, actually, I think it's pretty inevitable who we're going to have a chat with first. We are going to have a chat with Mads Grabson, who is in the commentary box. So that's for the first time as well. Congratulations, Mads. That was your first race, which we've seen at least with the reverse grid, and you did it perfectly. You deliberately finished in 17th place in race 1, so you could get the reverse grid in race 2. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very, very, very much. I will say it wasn't perfectly deliberate. I absolutely stuffed up qualifying, and I got literally last place. But pure luck that I got P17, an amazing result, just amazing.
Absolutely, it was. We were discussing in the commentary box when you were in the lead and Arthur was catching up to you, what we would do if we were your team boss, because it looked as though Arthur was a little bit faster, but the moment that Arthur got past you, you seemed to be back even with him. I mean, was there any kind of team games there, or were you just racing one another as if you weren't teammates at all?
Right. Well, obviously, it is your teammate, so you're not going to race him like he was a competitor, or at least as hard. But I did tell him because I kind of gathered that he was a bit faster. When you catch up, just do it someplace sensible. And then once we had swapped, we decided, okay, no fighting. I mean, let's just get it home now, because, man, I want to finish. Yes!
Absolutely. And then you involved in a brilliant battle with Van der Nesse, I believe it was, where you were alongside for about a lap. It looked like in the end he just made that mistake. That must have been good fun. And did you ever think that you were going to touch?
I did actually. I did. I mean, that was one awesome battle. I have to say, a lot of thanks to him for a superb bit of driving. That was really fantastic. But yeah, as soon as he spun, my initial reaction was, I didn't touch him. Because you know, it was so tense in the moment. But yeah, again, thanks to him and everybody in the league. I'm really impressed with the driving here. It's incredible.
Yes. Well, thank you. I'll take credit for that, Mads. Thanks
do.
for that. So before we let you go, Mads, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, there is. And it's team boss John Gordon. He's had a fucking terrible week, and he couldn't participate in the race because of PC trouble. But man, I think this is one hell of a way to say you're a pretty good team boss.
Absolutely. So yeah, fantastic start for your team. And we'll see you back next week, Mads.
Yes, we will.
Awesome. See you then.
See you.
Mads Grafson. Love his accent, by the way. That was like Dutch and New Zealand.
I'm not even to go there. What I will say is apologies for the colourful language. He's very excited.
It's nice to hear someone pumped.
Yes,
when we can.
for sure.
No, I recall when Rob Sutherland won the amateur GT3 championship in American GT, and I told him, "Oh, you've won the championship." I said, "What championship? That was a championship." And kind of took it, and there. But no, taking it seriously. Adam, who would you like to have a talk with now?
Well, we've just spoken to Mads. I think it's only right that we speak to his teammate, Artur, because obviously he won the second race there. Artur managed to... It's a maiden victory, I guess, only the second race in the league. Artur, welcome to the booth. Talk us through that rather epic race too. Artur, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Yeah, talk us through that race too. A maiden victory and very well driven.
Yes, thanks. I started P2 just behind Mets and just was chasing him half the race, and then made some move to overtake, but his pace was also very good. So he was battling also some other guy. I don't know who was this.
I think it was Chris Van der Nesse was right behind him.
Yeah, I was seeing this in mirror.
When they were battling, were you talking to each other? You know, just trying to engineer it so that you both had tow. Were you? I mean, you switched positions at one point to allow you to get out in front. How did you play that out between the two of you?
That was just pure racing. There was no team order or something like that. We weren't talking.
I see. I've got you. Well, we're at Monza next week. Is that a good track for you as well? Do you think you can grab yourself another win there?
Yes, I feel quite nice and fast on Monza, but we'll see. Competition here is very nice. Close battles. Everyone is almost on the same pace, so it will be fun.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear you're looking forward to it. Artur, congratulations on your maiden ARL GT win. Before we let you go, would you like to give any shout outs to anybody?
No.
Well, no sponsors, no friends or family watching you, cheering you on.
No, but no.
Well, maybe we can round up some of your friends next weekend to watch
Maybe.
you. Arthur, well done again. Pleasure speaking to you, and we'll see you next week at Monza.
See you. Thanks.
That was Arthur Godzik for Fuga Sim Racing, finishing in first place in race 2. It's nice to see that actually, because of course you have particularly in American sports, I think you have listing the sponsors, the girlfriends and all that, just straight to the point. No need to that. I mean, we like to be thanked. Not gonna lie, but honestly, I'd rather that than he reeled off sponsors for 2 minutes straight, frankly. Next up, who are we going to have a chat with? We'd like to have a chat with Daniel Lee, to be fair, who is in the commentary box with us now. Daniel, I don't know what the championship situation is now, but you're not going to be far off the top. You might be second behind Eipenberg, but it'll be close. Well done today, anyway. A fourth and a seventh. Some pretty good results.
Yeah, that was an amazing first round. Absolutely enjoyed each one. Eipenberg again, just completely impassable. The only way that he was going to let me go is if he spun around or lost the back end himself, which fortunately he did. After that, he did me a favour and kept everybody else behind him. He is absolutely the top defender in this field. If you're behind Eipenberg, good luck to you. So hats off to him for some really clean driving. Race 2 was sort of similar, but with Mark Hutchinson, again, new guy to the league. So impressed with all the new guys and the standard of driving. We're going to see some really close, compressed fields, as no doubt you would have seen. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the rounds.
We were discussing in the comms box how it was important for you to capitalize on McMahon and Co having a bad race too, because of course you could take the lead of the championship, you could outscore them significantly. Did that come into your mind? The opportunity that was arising for you to kind of get a big load of points over your rivals?
Yeah, it certainly did. When I saw that McMahon and Bowden were essentially out because of the kind of scrum that happened on race 2, it sort of made me think, is there a chance for a final race win here? Am I going to get that race win that I've been after for so long? And unfortunately, the reverse grid this season looks to be filled with people in the same pace window as us. So it's going to be no laughing matter to get up to first if you're in 7th. So there was a thought in my mind that I could make it, but Mark Hutchinson defended incredibly well. And I can only credit them for some super clean driving. Probably the cleanest races I've seen so far in 10 years of doing this. So really enjoyed it, and I hope it repeats in the following rounds. But it's unfortunate what happened to McMahon and Bowden, because they were in it, but there was always going to be an explosion after all those cars in the same pace were being compressed into one spot. So they'll pick themselves up next round, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, Daniel, is there anyone you'd like to give some thanks to?
Shout out to msignsuk.com. They're with us now for the duration of the season. They're brand new sort of viewers, and so far it sounds like they're really impressed with what they see. So thanks very much to you guys for the commentary and to the stream. M-Signs are a graphics and printing company that could feasibly do all the liveries that you see on stream. So if you want your car decked out, or you lucky guys who have actual race cars, there are some that do real and sim, go to them for your race car decking out. Thank you very much.
Daniel Lee there, finishing in 4th and 7th places today. We'll see him back next week. Of course, I did say earlier on, I pretty much gave that description in. I said that M-Signs UK makes signs in the UK. So
You did, yes.
I pretty much encapsulated their business there. So,
Nailed it.
I'll wait for the check. I expect it by Tuesday, please, M-Signs. We've got time for a couple more interviews, Adam. Who are you going to talk with now?
I'm going to have a quick chat with Emil Winbo, Emil was blisteringly quick in qualifying, was way ahead of all the other AMs. Managed to bring it home P2 in race 1 after a little bit of an adventure, and a P3 for the AMs in race 2 as well. Wimbo, talk us through your evening. It's been quite an adventure.
Qualifying was a bit better than expected, to say the least. My plan was 2 runs, fucked up the first one, so I backed off a little bit to just get the lap in, and it worked out pretty well. Then my race 1 setup was quite understeery, so I missed kind of corner a bit, clipped the gravel and spun. That dropped me quite far back. Good to see me going off on stream as well.
We did capture a couple of them, that's for sure.
Yeah. Then I was just trying to make my way back through the field. I didn't hit the wall, so had no damage. Then I think I got hit off turn 1, like a lap or 2 later, but I finished P2 in class still. I don't think I would be caught then anyway, so. And then race 2, I got caught up in all the carnage between turn 1 and 2, and car was pretty badly damaged after that, so.
We are seeing a much, actually, I'm not going to say much more competitive field, because last season was very competitive also, but there's a lot of drivers seem to be around a similar pace. When you had these incidents, just how hard is it to get your way back through the field, because there seems to be an awful lot of quick drivers out there now.
It's pretty hard to get any kind of overtakes made, especially when you're down on top speed like I was in race 2. But even not even just making the overtakes, just catching up to people is hard enough. So you just have to qualify well and not make mistakes, I guess.
Well, you've certainly done that all right tonight, the qualifying part anyway. We're at another draft track next week with Monza. You feeling confident there? Think you can get yourself another good qualifying going?
I won't lie, I don't really like Road America. I don't really like Monza either, so qualifying P4 at Road America was quite a surprise. That was 8 tenths or something off pole, so quite a gap there, but still.
Wish I could get P4 on tracks that I don't like.
I mean, I guess there's a difference between being fast and liking the track.
Yeah.
But I think with enough practice, Monza shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it. Been a pleasure to speak to you, Emil. Before I let you go, got any shout-outs you'd like to do? Anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, I guess the people at the Apex Racing Academy for giving good setups and good advice week in, week out. I think qualifying setup was the one Kevin made, so yes, that's pretty fast. But then, other than those guys, I guess you guys for putting on the league and the stream. Good fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in and speaking to us, Emil. We'll see you next week in Monza.
Yeah, see ya.
Emil Winbo there, finishing in 22nd and 20th places. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for the interviews today, so apologies to the drivers we haven't been able to have a chat with, but we have reached our broadcast limit and a couple of minutes over that as well, but we'll certainly have a chat with them next week. Like you were saying before, Adam, I could have made the name joke again, couldn't I? Like you were saying before, James, we will be going to Monza next week. Surprisingly, it's probably the biggest circuit that Apex Racing League GT hasn't visited before. Didn't visit it in British GT, believe it or not. American GT, neither, surprising. And then also GT1 and GT2 it didn't visit it. Finally, we are, and yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm glad it's on the calendar, Bruce. It's one of my favourites to go to. I love racing now. I love watching cars there. With this field, uber competitive field, it should be brilliant. There's going to be some gung ho, last of the late breaker kind of stuff going on. It should be brilliant. I can't wait for it, and hope the people watching are looking forward to it as well.
Thank you, Charlie, for that insight into the next rounds of the championship. Of course, if you want to take part in the championship, the spots are currently full. However, you can go sign up on ApexRacingLeague.com. Because on ApexRacingLeague.com, you can sign up to this series, the GT Championship. And I've also got the F3 Championship, which sign-ups are still open for. So you can sign up for that one. That's mainly aimed for American time zones. But if you are willing to stay up late as a European or get up quite early or be in the midday, it would be in the midday for Australians. If you want to do that, do sign up as well. It's open to everyone. So certainly sign up for that. We've also got the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship. Once again, spots are filled for that, but you can put yourself on the reserve list. That and GT, put yourself on the reserve list. And we might also have a future GT4 season as well. If you like the GT4 cars, you can sign up to that one using the Heat Racing format as well. It's a really nice format, that. So go check out ApexRacingLeague.com. And you can see all the series that you are signed up for, and also join the Apex Racing League Discord as well. So you can check out all the announcements we have on that. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it, and also subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, and check out Apex Racing TV as well, because we've got loads of action on Apex Racing TV. Also do check out Apex Racing TV's social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so you never miss a moment of our racing. We will see you back then at Monza, but it's a couple of fantastic results for the debutantes today. It is Jonas Bodin taking race 1 victory. It's Artur Godzik taking the race 2 victory. We'll see what happens in meeting 2 in a week's time. We will see you then.